I became 30 and I just had nothing to show for it. If you feel like you're behind in life, like everybody else got a manual but you didn't, if you feel like you're running out of time and this might be your last chance to get it right, then this video is for you. Because today I want to talk about how people go from feeling completely stuck in life, emotionally, mentally, identity-wise, to creating real sustainable momentum. So not just to get hyped for a moment or that motivation that you have for a day or two and then disappears again, but real momentum that you can keep building on and that keeps you moving forward in life, even when life isn't perfect. And I want to be very honest with you. This video only exists because I've been exactly where you are right now, and I changed it and I want to show you how. So let's start by clearing something up. Feeling stuck is not a lack of motivation, it's not laziness, and it's definitely not a lack of potential. I want to make that very clear before we dive into this. Feeling stuck is usually a state where you have energy inside of you, but you don't know where to direct it to, so it literally gets stuck and it keeps you where you are in life. And that's why so many people that feel stuck also feel irritated, restless, numb, sad, secretly very angry at themselves or at the world. And what you see is that society, or the people around you, if you're in that situation, that they usually say things like, just be grateful, stay positive, don't be angry, you have so much already. Which honestly usually just makes things worse. So today I want to change that for you. I'm going to share some knowledge and some tools with you. I also want to look a bit into the science behind these to help you understand why you feel stuck and what you can do about it. What you can actually do about it today. Now, let's slow this down and really understand what's happening when you are stuck. Because once you understand it, it will stop that feeling of personal failure and you know, that feeling of I'm just not good enough or I'm just not doing enough. Feeling stuck's not random. It's not just in your head and it's not because you lack discipline or motivation. Like I said, it's actually a predictable neurological and psychological state that we sometimes just end up in life. So your brain is designed for movement, not for stagnation. From a neuroscience perspective, the human brain is wired for progress and feedback. We do something, our brain helps us do that, sees what we do, sees what happens. We get that feedback and that's when our brain wants to change things, want to do things differently, do things better, move forward, grow. That's a bit of a summary of how our system works. I'm going to look into it a bit deeper with you now. So let's start with that neuroscience. So dopamine is a neurotransmitter. Most people associate it with motivation, with excitement in life. And it's released when you move towards a meaningful goal. So it's not released when you actually achieve the goal, but very much so in that process towards achieving a goal, which is shown in some older research from Wolfram Schultz, neuroscientist. And he showed that dopamine spikes when the brain detects progress, prediction, and possibility. So when you don't see yourself moving forward, or if you don't feel that progress, or you don't see the direction you're going into, that's when your dopamine system starts to downregulate. And that makes you feel flat, tired, uninspired. So yeah, it's that's exactly how being stuck feels. And our response usually is to think of a solution. And this is where many, especially high-functioning people, get trapped a bit because we keep wanting to think of a solution. When action feels unclear, that's what we want to do. Think about what's wrong, think about what we need to do to make it right. Analyzing, comparing, replaying the past, and projecting the future. These are a lot of things that we've also learned that this is where we need to look for a solution. But research in cognitive neuroscience shows that excessive self-referential thinking activates the default mode network in your brain. So that's a brain network associated with rumination and identity-based stress. In simple terms, the more you sit in your head trying to figure yourself out, the more disconnected you become from action and energy. So, and this is when I hear a lot of my clients say things like, I know what I should do, but I just can't. I feel frozen. I'm tired of thinking about my life, and I just want things to change, and they don't. That's what I hear a lot. And it's not a mindset issue. It is a stuck nervous system. So there's actually things happening in your nervous system. And this is a part that almost nobody explains, so I did want to take some time to explain it to you guys today. Psychological research has for a long time now classified emotions into 2 categories. First one, approach-oriented emotions. So these are designed to move you towards something. And avoidance-oriented emotions, and these are designed to pull you away. You either have to go towards something to keep moving forward, or maybe get yourself out of a situation to keep moving forward. It's always one of the 2. And today I want to look a bit more into anger, because that is an approach emotion. So it means that anger increases your focus, your confidence, your risk tolerance and willingness to confront obstacles. Yeah, I think if you think about that emotion of anger, that is very much what it's about, right? Something is not okay and something needs to change. And this is what our brain does all the time. It's looking for what is not okay and what do we need to change. And it is incredibly important in our lives. It has always been incredibly important because it's what keeps you moving forward, keeps changing your life up, and it's a basic need in survival to keep changing, keep moving on, keep evolving. So, what happens then in our life? Because a lot of us, or most of us, what we are being taught is don't be angry, stay calm, be grateful, don't make a fuss. That's what we hear a lot in our lives, and that's what we do. We don't use this anger energy, we don't use this emotion, and it should drive us to change and through change, but it gets suppressed. That's what we learn. We learn to suppress it, and that is when we get stuck. So when anger is suppressed, long term, it will turn inward. And this is what we constantly see in all the research that has been done around this. It's always linked to rumination, so that worrying, that overthinking that you're doing. Fatigue, which is an overwhelming lack of energy. Loss of meaning, things just don't feel like they mean anything anymore. Everything starts feeling insignificant in your life. Chronic sadness and just, overall depression-like symptoms, I would say. So there's another layer here that's especially relevant if you are between the ages of 25 to 35, like me. I'm still in there. Development psychology shows that in this life phase, so 25 to 35 years old, this phase is heavily tied to identity consolidation, purpose, contribution, and direction. These are the main things that we are focused on. And when your identity collapses because of illness, because of a burnout, career loss, life disruptions, so many things can happen in our life and do happen in our life. So then when you lose this sense of your identity, your brain experiences that as a threat. It's an actual threat to your life. Not emotionally, biologically. And when the brain detects a threat without a clear path or a clear direction to go to, then it just defaults to freeze. We have fight, flight, or freeze, and in this situation what happens is you freeze. That's when you get stuck. We usually identify that as that feeling of being stuck in life. Now, here's what nobody wants to say, and I'm just gonna say it. You don't need more motivation. You need directed energy. Motivation is emotional, momentum is physiological. So momentum is created when energy is allowed to exist, when a direction is introduced to this energy, and you keep taking small actions which create that feedback that keeps you moving forward. And the emotion that often starts that movement, that is anger. That's what we're going to look into now. It's anger transformed into purpose. So I want to introduce a concept that I use with my coaching, with my clients. And if you start working within the Reinvention project, or if you start working with the Reinvention method, this is one of the first things that start up the process of getting unstuck and moving forward again in your life. And it's called core energy. I'm a big fan. It's one of the first things that was introduced to me in my personal development route. I'll circle back to that in a bit, but it's very powerful. And it starts when we are born. So I think babies, small children, they're a very good example of this, because they have two basic energy states, and that is joy and anger. They're either happy or they're not. So that means that if they're in the state of joy, everything's okay, everything is safe, we're good, we don't need anything, we're just content with how life is now. If something's wrong, instant switch to the other side, that anger comes up. And you see this with babies. They cannot speak yet, they cannot explain to us in words what is wrong. So as soon as their system sees that something is not really right, then that anger energy comes up. They start crying, screaming, just as a sign of I need something. So when they're hungry, they cry. When they're cold, they cry. If they're too hot, they'll cry. If they need attention, they'll cry. So anger in its core is not aggression, but it's a life force energy. It's there, it's programmed in our brain, in our reptilian brain. It's there to let yourself and everybody around you know something is not okay. It's responsible for survival, action, and focus. So as adults, this system still is in our brains, of course. It didn't go anywhere, it's still there. And it still fires whenever something in our lives is not working or not right. The problem is just that we're taught that this anger is bad, so we suppress it. And if we look at that core energy, it's a life force. It comes from within you and it needs to go somewhere. And if it's not going forward, if it's not going into your life, changing something, there's only one other place where it can go, and that is back inside, suppressed within your system. And then it usually turns into sadness. So sadness is just suppressed anger energy, that suppressed life force energy. Because let me ask you something. If you are actually angry about something, are you then tired? Are you bored? Because I'm not. I know if I'm angry, I'm alert, I'm focused, I'm awake, I'm here to make a change and I'm here to do it now. So that is what that momentum is. That's what that life force energy, that core energy can actually do for you. It will give you that push in life. It will make you see very clearly what you need to change, and then you're going to direct the energy there and figure out how to change it. And it'll keep you going. I want to take you into a bit of a personal story of how, where this became very real for me. And that was right before my 30th birthday. So my life came to a complete stop. I became ill. I needed a surgery. I really didn't want to, but I had to. I was struggling with COVID still, long COVID, because in the hospital, unfortunately, I got infected with COVID that time. So physically, I was doing not so well. And I was also dealing with PTSD, also due to some things in that medical story. But that was some mental problems that came on top of that. So I couldn't work anymore. I needed to have this surgery, and it was planned a few days before my birthday. So physically on my birthday, I wasn't doing very well. I couldn't take care of myself. I couldn't take care of my household. I couldn't run my business. I really couldn't do anything anymore. So I really lost my identity. My identity as a strong, independent woman, my identity as a coach, my identity as a person in this world. Gone. Really felt when I turned 30 like I missed the train, like I became 30 and I just had nothing to show for it. Felt very lonely, felt very purposeless, and honestly, it just felt like I didn't deserve it to turn 30. I've known a few people that didn't make it to that age, and when I turned 30 in that situation, I really felt like this life is just wasted on me. That's really what I felt like. I had all these heavy emotions, all these things going on, and I had no way of expressing myself with that. So also all turned inwards, all got suppressed. It made me very sad. It even got me into a depression, and I needed to do something with that. Luckily, physically, I fully recovered. Took some time and some effort, but I did recover physically, and with the help of some therapy, I also recovered mentally, psychologically. So the PTSD got solved, the depression, I got out of it, luckily. And that is when one thing became really clear for me, that I didn't need to start over, because everything that was there was still there. I just needed to re-access myself. I needed to find my way back to myself. And I started working at the Salvation Army, which first I thought that was a step back, but it ended up being a huge step forward, because it gave me a safe way to reconnect with myself, to reconnect with my skills as a social worker, to start helping clients again. And something reignited within me, working with these people at the Salvation Army, both with the clients as my colleagues. It got me reconnected to my work. It got me reconnected to that passion that I have for my work. And that just reignited the flame within me. And that also was that anger. So I was very sad. I got out of that sadness. All this energy came up. All this anger energy came up, because I was still very angry about everything that happened with me. But I could turn it into passion now, and I could redirect it. So that meant that 7 months later, I went fully self-employed again. I started rebuilding my business, and that's where the Reinvention project was born. Actually, it's when I started this. A year later, I got to pay off my student loans, because the business was doing very well. I found myself in a stable and loving relationship. And because I paid off my student loans, we could buy a house last year. So all of this happened in a very short period of time after that moment of turning 30 and not doing very well. And it's not just because life got easy, it's because I found a direction to put my energy towards. I found my way back to my own life core energy, and I found a way to put it into a direction in life, and things can change so quickly for you. So that's where that started, where that came from. This is also what you see in the Reinvention method. I talked about it in another video. It's why I created it in that way. It's a circular method because it's an ongoing process. And sometimes we just need to pause it for a minute, especially if you're dealing with some mental health issues. If you need therapy, pause your life for a minute. Get that therapy, get your things figured out so that you can have a clear vision in your life again. And then you can always continue wherever you paused your life. It's fine to pause it for a minute as long as you can re-find your way towards that energy. That's at least what I did for a little bit there. And this is where it starts as well. The Reinvention method starts with observing. Stop that autopilot. Stop that autopilot. See, where am I stuck and how can I get myself out of this? Where is that energy? Where is my anger? Or where is that sadness that you can open up so that you can access that anger again? And then the other phases will come after that. It will give you a clear vision of where to go. You will clarify where you want to go, you will choose that direction, and this energy will help you create everything and evolve. That's that feedback loop. Your brain will do all that work for you. You don't even have to really do it yourself. Enjoy that momentum. And this method works because it doesn't suppress your energy, and it never will. It teaches you how to use it, how to include this anger, how to include this frustration and give it a purpose in your life. So if you are watching this and you're thinking, kind of feels like you're talking about my life now, well, then listen carefully. You're not late, you're not broken, and you're not failing. You're just finally ready. If you feel that fire inside you, even if right now it's still a little messy, it's still maybe angry or confused, but if you just feel that fire, it's not a problem, it's your fuel. And if you want to learn how to use it properly, I want you to come find me. Find me on Instagram, send me a DM, tell me that you're ready to reinvent, tell me that you're ready to get unstuck in life, because momentum doesn't start with motivation. It starts with the permission to move. So follow me, DM me. I hope this gave you a little insight on how to get unstuck, how to start moving again. Start working on that, and there is nothing that can stop you from getting wherever you want to be in life.